Okay, so let's take a look at some alignment techniques, which can be pretty useful while modeling. And we'll start with aligning vertices, which are pretty messed up in this mesh here, as you can see. All right, so we'll try to align them to a straight line. And you can do this in two different ways, essentially. So let's first select them all. And then what we can do is we can either go to modify mesh and use this align option here, or we can go to tools and use align vertices, which is a bit different. So let's first take a look at this align in modify tab. And here we have a number of different presets basically. So we can align to different directions. So let's say align top will flatten all the vertices along the highest one, this one, right? If let's say we align bottom one, then it's going to align along this lowest one, right, as you can see. So that's pretty simple and it's pretty self-explanatory. If we use the align center left right, it will align it in the middle between left and right. So it's like a middle point between the outer left and outer right vertex. And so that's how you use this align option here. If we go to tools and use this align vertices, this one will open this tool parameters here, where we basically manually need to type the X, Y, and Z position. So this is useful if you are doing some sort of a very precise modeling and you know exactly where the vertices need to be aligned. Personally, I don't really use this one, but you can, obviously. It really depends on your project, right? So if we, let's say, type 1000 on Y, it's gonna calculate, right? It will snap all of it 1000 units along the Y axis, and that's what we're gonna get, right? So this is, like I said, this is useful if you're doing this sort of modeling, where you have to be very precise and you know exactly where you want to align. Now let's take a look how can we align meshes, right? So here we have a bunch of cubes distributed in space in sort of fairly disorganized manner, and we're gonna use this alignment window. So first, let's choose which panel here we want to consider. So let's use the front panel. So we switch here to front view. And so now we will be aligning this window. And here we have a bunch of options. So let's click here. And as you can see, just like on this thumbnail, it aligns them in a straight line, right? Only from the front view, because this is what we've chosen. So now let's switch to top. Click again, and it's gonna align them in a straight line according to the top view, right? So basically this is how you control it. And then we can, for instance, click here, which is going to distribute them in this way. So for example, this could be useful if you're creating things like stairs, for instance. So you can use a bunch of those combinations here, and then you can type in here sort of like an offset and click again. So this will recalculate sort of the distance, right? If we type 1000 here and recalculate, you see how it stretches more and more, right? So that way you can modify, keep modifying this on and on. And also there are additional options here, which we will take a look in a moment, where you can use this window to distribute elements along the path. So this is what we're gonna do here, right? We have lots of cubes here, and we have one open line, and we're going to distribute them along this line. So that's why we've made so many of those cubes. Okay, so first of all, we have this open line selected, and we click memorize. So this will thicken it. And now all we need to do is select all the cubes we want to distribute along it and click this little button here. So this will arrange them sort of like that. And then we can still, if we switch from auto to number, here we can type manually the distance that we will have between those cubes. And so if we leave it on auto, it was the way it was before. If we type the numbers manually, you see what happens, right? Well, 1000 is a bit too much, obviously. So let's go back, let's say 200. Yeah, so then you have to sort of calculate it because it only reaches as far as the line is. So 300, yeah, so that's pretty much optimal in this case. All right, so, and then you can still change the offset here, as you can see, and every time you change anything, you click this button above update, and this will sort of recalculate everything.